as I thought they did, and we can't even give the tomatoes away.
Well, now you're live. You
Oh, really? I thought it was. Anyway, we can't hardly give these tomatoes away. I got bucketfuls of them. I was so worried the water was going to take them out, but they've held up really, really well. I got some problems with the some that's took out, but for the most part, we're going to have a good crop of
what
tomatoes.
kind is
That's
that?
red snapper.
Red snapper.
Yeah, so I planted a later plant the halcinators, and they got the storm hit them really hard. So I'm not going to do near as well with them as I have these right here. So anyway,
But we have tables of tomatoes.
tables of tomatoes. I've eaten a tomato sandwich every day. I've already eaten my tomato sandwich for today. Every day I eat tomato sandwiches. Tomato sandwich is good for the soul. Now, if he's in, I got a friend or a so-called friend up in North Carolina, and he says he don't put mayonnaise on his
He
tomatoes.
puts balsamic vinegar.
Balsamic vinegar. Is he really a friend? If he don't put mayonnaise on this tomato sandwich, is he really a friend? Now I love the great people of North Carolina, but you gotta put mayonnaise on your tomato sandwich, not balsamic vinegar. So, all right. So let's get in here, and we got a special guest that we're gonna bring in just a minute.
Mhm.
Out of the great state of South Carolina. I hope they use mayonnaise on their tomatoes up there. So what you been doing today?
Today, nothing.
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 I planted pumpkins this
You
morning.
did plant
I
pumpkins
planted
this
pumpkins
morning.
this morning. Yep,
Now, yesterday I did some fermenting of some cherry tomatoes,
they look really good.
and I did 2 batches of basil in my freeze dryer. I got figs going in there now. I cannot wait for my figs.
Figs are going to be good.
Yeah. Last year I dehydrated a bunch. I have high hopes. You know, they were a little tough and chewy.
Yeah,
So I think
the freeze dry will be better on them
I
than
think
the
so.
yeah. Anyway, we the garden is starting to salvage out. I've gotten in there and been able to plow some of it, help it dry out some. There's a 50% chance of rain tomorrow, and the rest of the week looks pretty good. So if we can dodge rain tomorrow, not get too much, if we get any, I think things will turn around a little bit. I think we're still going to lose some stuff, some
my
winter squash.
tomatoes are pretty much over with.
Yeah,
I mean, I've harvested all that's on them, except for the cherry tomatoes. They're growing crazy.
yeah. So,
And now I'm thinking about what I'm gonna plant next.
I'm starting to think that I'm going to plant a big crop of cowpeas for the fall. We didn't plant none this spring, so
What kind?
zippers.
Zippers again?
Zippers again.
We don't need a different kind this year.
I like the zippers. Zippers do really good. We might do the top pick. I ain't think about that. We could do some top pick or zippers either one. William wants to know, did you do a video on that cherry tomato ferment?
I did. I sure did. I haven't edited it yet, but they will be a video. It is so simple.
And by the way, folks, we're going. We hadn't talked about this any, but do you know the dates for the thing in Alabama?
The petals to
The
the
pedals to the past. If y'all are anywhere near, this is going to be a great event. It's going to be over in Alabama at Pedals to the Past, which is a big garden center over there. That's good friends of ours, and they're putting together a thing over there in this fall. They had one in spring, but the fall one's going to be a lot bigger, and we're going to be able to attend the fall one. Do we have the dates on it? We don't have the
It's in
dates.
September.
It's in
Let me look
September.
at the calendar because it's
Anyhow, they have got people coming in from everywhere. Actually,
they've got like 25 or was it 35 different YouTubers.
yeah, and Jason's going to get up and talk some, and maybe somebody else. I don't know. And then we're going to some kind of judging thing, right?
Yes, we had a harvest competition.
But anyway, so look here, if nothing else,
I think it's September the 9th.
it's
I think
Pedals to the Past is a great garden center. They got some unique stuff here. Man, it's just awesome.
if I can find Tracy's
Yep.
email.
Tracy's putting it together, just Dig It Farms over there, and she's doing a wonderful job. We're looking
They're
forward
having
to
a harvest contest.
harvest
They
contest,
want you to be
and
a
I'm going to be a judge.
I'm not sure what you're going to be
Judging.
judging.
All right, Anita Baldwin and Stan is from Huntsville, Alabama's area. How y'all doing? Annie Stan Acres. I love that. Annie Stan Acres. All right, so we have got, we love to talk gardening. We've been talking gardening about here in Georgia, but what about you guys in other places? So we got a special guest tonight. We got Will from Dixie Meadow Farms up in the great state of South Carolina. We're going to bring Will on, and we're going to talk about some of the challenges he's faced, some of the winners he's had this year.
Yeah, September 9th.
September 9th. All right, let's bring Will on.
All right.
Hey, Will, can you hear us, buddy?
I can hear you now.
All right. So, you know, I don't know what kind of challenges you had up there, but we've had a challenging year. I probably had the prettiest garden I've ever had to about 2 weeks ago, and this caused some issues. We had over 15 inches of rain in 10 days, and it caused major problems. What kind of, have y'all had a good year so far, or have y'all had one of those like we've had?
I've had a great year until last week. We got about 5 inches in about 4 days, and I just knew the weeds and the disease were coming.
Yeah. I think I'm going to lose some of my winter squash, but you know, if it's going to turn out to be better than I thought it was going to be. I was really down in the dumps last week.
I was really surprised. The tomatoes, I haven't seen but a couple of them crack, and I'm really surprised at that. Normally you'd see cracks all in them after that much rain in a short period of time. We didn't get 15 inches, but 5 inches when it's been dry for, I don't know, 4 weeks is bad.
So you see that red snapper right there? Very minimal cracking right there. I'm really impressed with these tomatoes here on the cracking up there. They hadn't cracked.
Yeah,
now I've got some more.
That's the halcinator there.
Ah.
Yeah.
And it didn't show any signs of cracking.
Good deal.
Yeah, those are nice and smooth. I believe the red snapper probably makes a little bit bigger tomato than the halcinator does. Have you grown the red snapper?
I've grown the red snapper. This is the 3rd year I've grown it. I definitely agree with you. I think it makes a bigger tomato, but the halcinator, it's my 1st year growing the halcinator. I tried to plant it late last year. I got a couple, but this is the 1st year I really get a good harvest off of them. And they showed up. They started ripening and turning before the red snappers have. I still don't have any red snappers that I've picked.
Yeah. The breeder says that the halcinator will outtaste the red snapper a little bit. It'd be interesting to say. I hope I have some. In fact, I do have some. Maybe this week on the Row by Row, we can do a taste test on the red snapper and halcinator. Be interested to see if we can tell any difference on that.
You have to do a blind taste test.
Blind tast test, yeah.
Well,
So
I'm sure they'll both be good.
Oh yeah. You slap some Dukes and some.
There's only
black
one
bread.
mayonnaise at my house, and that's got the yellow and black label.
Yeah. So, what challenges have you had, and what winners have you had this year?
The Japanese beetle started showing up on all the flowers probably in the past 2 weeks, and I've seen some signs of the late blight on my tomato plants just from getting all that rain. Surprisingly, my cucumbers in the raised bed at the shop and in the garden, I still don't have any downy mildew, powdery mildew, anything on them, so that's a plus. The winter squash, like the South Anna butternut and Primavera spaghetti squash, I've seen a little sign of the powdery mildew on it. I probably expect to see more with it getting into 90s this week and humidity and all that stuff. That's probably going to be the week to tell is this coming week.
Yeah, I would say would you say y'all about 10 days to 2 weeks behind us, somewhere there?
Probably a little longer than that.
You think?
We haven't hit really 90, maybe but 1 or 2 days. And in last year, the years before, I mean, we've been in the 90s sometimes at the end of May.
Yeah, and you're zone 7, right?
I'm on the 7B, 8A line. I'm technically 8A, but 7B is 5 miles down the road, so I just say 7B.
Right. Yeah, it's been we made a real good corn crop. Corn come off before the storm came in, and we was really excited about that. That was good. That was real good. But it's just been one of those unusual years. You know, we make, and I'm sure you're the same way. We make a better garden in a dry year than we do a wet year.
I agree with you 100%. When I can control the water, I'm in good shape.
Yeah. And with this drip system like it is, I mean, we can just do whatever we want to do there with that. So that's my dilemma every year.
My plan tomorrow, since we got all this rain, I still hadn't been able to get in there because it's still boggy in there. I'm hoping tomorrow I can go cultivate with a wheel hoe a little bit. And I plan on every plot that I do, I'm going to hit with a shot of fertilizer through the injector because of all that rain. It washed out probably everything they needed. So I'm going to go ahead and fertilize every plot I have tomorrow. I plan on running that injector all day tomorrow.
Yeah, same thing here. I had to go back out there and hit my sweet potatoes. Have you got sweet potatoes planted?
Yeah, I've got 375-foot rows planted.
Wow. Yeah, I had to go side dress those because I knew that was going on. I did have a problem. I didn't, when you mentioned it, the Japanese beetles did show up on our flowers as well after this rain run through. And I hadn't seen them before that. So we're experiencing some of the same problems you are. I feel like everything's going to kind of level out now. Maybe, the storms kind of move through and everything, and we can get back out there and clean some of this up. I some cleaning up to do, so take some stuff out, go ahead and salvage it and move on. And look,
corn down.
Take my corn down, get ready for some fall plots, maybe plant some more cover crops.
Did you replant your sunflowers?
No, not some of them I did, some of them I didn't. The super bee Flacilla went by the wayside. I got to take it out. But you talking about drawing the bumblebees, that is some amazing stuff. So Jason over at Cog Hill sent me a text and said he has never seen anything like it. And I will agree with him. I have never seen anything. The bumblebees just love it. So not so much the honeybees, but the bumblebees.
Mm-hmm.
My honeybees, they have been all over the Seminole corn tassels. I mean, I think the whole swarm is in that corn patch.
So how many hives do you have?
I just have one. I
had 3. So I'm going to tell you this little story. I ain't told nobody else. Here in the office, they know about it. I got up early about 10. Oh, it must have been right before the storm, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So one of mine, I needed to check them. So I got up early in the morning and I went up there and got into my bees. And I didn't do my veil gear. It's the second time this has happened to me. And I'm in there and they all mad carrot and they get inside of that veil. And I started getting stung on the neck, and I looked down and I knew I had problems. Well, you're not supposed to panic. Is what you're not supposed to do. But what did I do? I couldn't take it anymore. They were just gnawing on my face.
I had the same thing happen last year, and my little girl Hazel, they have a bee suit too. And she said, "Daddy, you got bees inside your mask." I said, "Yeah, baby, they're biting my neck right now."
So
a couple choice words later, we were on back to the house.
I got out there and I started running, and those bee suits, I had some boots on. And when I was trying to get my suit off of me, and I was running out in the front yard, I couldn't get it off my boots. So I got all tangled up and I couldn't run. And they was gnawing on me, boy. They was eating up me. And one of the guys, the guys head of the warehouse here, started pulling in. He seen what kind of shape I was in. So he pulled up there, and I jumped on the tailgate, and he took me down the road and got the bees off of me. But
Twice.
I don't know how many times my whole head, they stung me all over my head and everything. I made it okay, but I'm gonna tell you, it normally don't bother me a lot, but I felt a little rough later in the day. It was tough on me.
We got part of it on the security camera. We all got a good chuckle.
But
well, I feel sure everybody laughed but Mr. Greg.
Them bees, I was through with them. I may come back around, but I said right then I'm through with the bees. But it's gonna take.
That's not a fun situation.
It's not.
Yeah, these bees though are not.
These are some of they're the most aggressive bees I've ever had, but they make a lot of honey, but I don't know how many they're aggressive.
Yeah, everybody in the office is scared of them because they have.
Mine are pretty nice till I go by them with the lawnmower.
Yeah. So does Hazel get out there and help you with the bees?
She does every now and then. That's not her favorite thing to do, and I can't blame her after that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we was hoping to have Hazel now. Hazel's got other obligations, I see.
She does. She does.
Yeah. And how old is Hazel?
Hazel is 10.
10. I told Sheila I thought she was about 10.
Hazel's 10, Dixon is 8, and Wyatt's 5.
Okay,
Oh,
so
wow.
Hazel's the ringleader.
She's that's my right hand in the garden.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, she takes care of the chickens. She feeds the sheep, all of that stuff. Her and Dixon. They're old enough to where they like to do it until it gets hot outside.
yeah. But you can always count on Hazel, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, what are you planning on doing for the fall? Anything exciting you got planned for the fall?
My plan is to get all the tomatoes and all the corn. The corn, I think I will make July 4th. That's always my goal here, is to harvest all the corn, get it put up by July 4th. Then I'm going to plant probably buckwheat in that plot, just a quick cover crop. Get it worked in. I aim to plant at the end of August, beginning of September, fall stuff. I've actually got some, got it in the mail the other day. It's the ambrosia sweet corn. I've got a plot that's probably 2,300 square feet. I'm going to plant that ambrosia sweet corn August 1st is my goal. And then
Is that your garlic behind you?
Do what now?
Is that your garlic behind you?
Yep, that's garlic and about a quarter of the onions.
Wow.
I like that rack.
Yeah, the ambrosia is probably my favorite variety for the fall.
Yeah, this is actually I think the second time I planted it, and the last year, not the year before, I planted it in the fall, and it did well.
Yeah. So Mama Hoss and I are going to we're going to fly into Amsterdam, but we're going to spend a week over the Netherlands in September looking at cabbage trials and broccoli trials in the Netherlands.
I thought we was going to see flowers.
Where'd you get flowers from? I told you this wasn't going to be a fun trip for you.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise. Yeah. So we're going to about that.
I thought you said that's where we got our flowers from.
It is.
Oh, but this is
not the place we're getting our flowers from.
Okay.
We may look at some flowers, but anyhow, we're trying to find a Halcinator broccoli is what we're looking for, and we're going to look at some cabbages too. So we're interested about that. I mean,
I think I grew 3. I know of 2, maybe 3 of the varieties last year. I grew the Green Magic. That's always a good go-to. That Godzilla really did well. It made a huge head, and I can't think of the other one I might have tried. I know I at least had 2 of them in there.
You know, the Green Magic to me seems to be getting a little weaker than I remember it being 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know if something's going on there. It's always been a great variety, but it seems to be getting just a little weak on the vigor there. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. I'm like you. The Godzilla is a great one.
It was really good.
We're going to look at it. You know, heat tolerance for us is a big thing. So
Yeah.
we got one we're going to look at when we go over there that is supposed to be a very good heat tolerant variety. I'm interested about that because nothing out there has been able to touch Green Magic as far as heat tolerance. But they tell me this new variety will do that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over a period of years with some of these varieties. They get weak. You know,
Yeah.
They get weak and they go by the wayside. We're starting to see that a little bit with Bella Rosa, although Bella Rosa is a great variety. I don't know how much longer we're going to have Bella Rosa. It's probably not going to be much longer. But
I think that happened with the original Top Bunch collar too. Is that why they went to the 2.0?
It is. It's the exact same reason there. So, you know, it's just something we have to deal with when we had these varieties around for a long time, and you know, things move on. They come out with better stuff, and it's just part of it. Bella Rosa, it'll be a part of my heart will go away when that one goes away because we have grown that one forever.
I grew that one last year, I think for the second time, and I think I had those and where my sweet potatoes are this year because I had 75 foot rows of tomatoes last year.
Yep.
And that Bella Rosa, I mean, you get a quarter way down the row and I'd be tired of picking.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's funny the vines, it don't grow as much vine as the Halcinator and the red snapper does, but we're not trying to grow vines. We're trying to grow tomatoes. And it's still a great
grow
variety.
tomatoes.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's get in and see if we can get in a few questions. And maybe if y'all got a question for Will, post it out there and we'll let Will answer it. So the first one we got here is they want to know, would love to know why the pods on my bush limas are turning brown before beans have matured in them. That's weird. The pods are paper thin and soft. I have plenty of flowers. Should I just tear them up? I'd say, yeah. I've never had that happen before.
No, I've got some I think the Ford hooks out there, and they've got the longer, you might not get but 2 beans out of them, but they'll be big. Your pods will normally be very green and all that stuff, not unless you've just been getting a lot of water and they just got drowned.
Yeah, that was my first thought. There was a lot of water there, but maybe things will work out there for you. But yeah, I'd probably go ahead and harvest what I could out of them and move on. BLG wants to know, he says he can't find Dixie Meadow Farm on the YouTube site.
Well, there's a good reason, because I don't have a lot of time to do YouTube.
But you do have a fairly active Facebook page, right?
Yeah, if you go to Facebook and just type in Dixie Meadows Farm, it's the one with the tie-dyed shirt. It's the actual group, not the page.
Okay. All right, Diana says, happy Sunday. Quick question. My Halcinators are really big, strong vine, but some split very small. What can I do?
The vine split or the tomato split?
I don't know what she's talking about there. I would say probably tomato split. If it's a tomato split, it's a water issue. They'll clear up from that maybe when this warm weather comes in there. If your vines are splitting, then you probably didn't trellis them or support them enough there, Diana, would be my guess.
Yeah, that and inconsistent watering. If you water a whole bunch, then don't water, then water a whole bunch again there. I mean, any tomato's probably going to split like that.
This is the only year I've had one tomato with blossom end rot. One tomato. I cannot ever remember a year before I didn't have a lot more than that.
And you was worried about it.
And I was worried about it. I thought the cool spring was going to have a lot of it, but I guess that worked in our advantage.
Just had my first picking of Hall's green beans today. The quality and production is absolutely amazing. I agree, Tony.
Tony, I don't know. I tell people all the time, I don't know why anybody wants to plant another variety. And we got several different varieties. We just had a meeting last week where we sat down and talked about varieties. And I told them in the meeting, I said, I don't know why anybody would want to plant anything besides the Hall's Green Blaze bush bean. How's yours doing, Will? You had time getting a stand out of them. And
they are doing very well now. After I got my irrigation issue fixed and figured out, they got blooms all over them.
Yep. The funny thing is when you sent me that message, another fellow had the same issue, and we sent him some more seeds out, and he was successful after that too. So he had too much moisture in there as well. He probably had some of those soils, I'm assuming, maybe like you got to really hold the moisture, well, and those seeds just kind of rotted up in there.
The one they're planted in is more of a clay-based plot, and I cultivated it again, got rid of everything, so I didn't have a good stand. It was cool. I mean, the weather here, it didn't get hot until a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. I mean, it was still in the 50s at night. I mean, it's the craziest I've ever seen in a while. And I was running the irrigation to them like I would do Crowder peas when it's hot outside. And I was like, well, they just weren't coming up. And then I put a shutoff valve on there and just watered it as soon as I planted them and didn't touch them again. And they full stand after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Richard's, good afternoon, Richard from California. At what point do you cut back on nitrogen for your watermelons? Richard, now this is the way I do it. When my watermelons get about 1/2 to 3/4 size and about 2 weeks before harvest, I start cutting back on my nitrogen. The reason is if you hit them with too much nitrogen, when they get mature, they'll blow up on you, they'll bust. So that's kind of my theory. Now, sometimes like what we just went through now, my vines have died back from disease, but if they didn't die back from disease, I would probably go in there and hit them a little bit because, as Will said earlier, this rain washed all the nitrogen out. But I don't have that problem because I don't have any vines to grow back,
And your watermelons.
and my watermelons are gone. But if I was in that situation, I would probably go in there and put a little bit more to them. But you got to be real careful with nitrogen on watermelons when they start maturing out, or they would just explode. Too much nitrogen.
Do you mulch in the garden? Why or why not? I do in my raised beds. You don't.
I do not. I do not mulch any in any of my stuff. Will, do you do any mulch and maybe some raised beds?
I do not. I think Donnie Glover said that he uses the landscape fabric or the black mulch in his tomatoes and that stuff, and I think that would be a good idea. I don't, just because it takes me longer, but I'm not opposed to using that black mulch under tomatoes just for the splash effect. I've never done it.
Yeah, I didn't have. Knock on wood, I didn't have any trouble this year with any disease problems before the rain came in. So, I kind of look at things of how much work are they involved in it versus what I'm going to get out of it. For me, the mulch things just didn't. It's just not worth it.
It just doesn't work in my program either. I want to turn over a plot, get it out, turn it over, and that's probably an extra 2 or 3 hours that I would have to spend laying that stuff, putting the drip, aligning it with the holes, and doing all that. It's just something I don't have time for.
Right.
Now with the lazy garden.
The lazy garden we have, this is a little different though. That's more for beginner gardeners or small gardeners. The way Will and I garden on these big plots, it's a little different.
Hey guys, with all this rain in Florida and disease, I'm so sad and discouraged, but it made me feel better that you're experiencing some of the same. Do I have time to try again or wait till the fall?
Sonia, you can go in there and try some okra and grow you some flowers to make you feel better. But at this point, I don't know that I would plant anything like tomatoes or anything like that. I'd hold off and I'd wait till the fall and give it another shot. But you do have plenty of time to plant flowers and some okra and sweet potatoes. You can probably get some sweet
Crowder
potatoes
peas.
in if you can find crowder peas. If you can find some from slips, we're going to plant peas not long from now. As soon as I get one of my plots ready, probably sometime in August, we're going to get some of those in.
When do you hill your corn and what do you side dress with?
Lisa, I normally hill mine twice, and the last time is normally around knee high, and I side dress with most times selenium nitrate is what I side dress with. I use the injector and I put my base fertilizer with my injector. However, if you don't have that, you can side dress with a 10-10-10 or something like that. But I like to alternate it with a good nitrogen source. Chilean nitrate is my favorite for corn. Ammonium nitrate is also a good one. How about you, Will? Same thing?
I don't have a good access around here, but I've been using calcium nitrate for the past 2 or 3 years. I think it's a 15.500 or something like that.
It is. You've been using that on your corn.
On my corn, yep.
Wow, interesting.
And it's done great for the past 2 or 3 years that I've been using it.
What do you all get to eat from the garden for July 4th? Wow, Kim, what a loaded question. We normally, now not this year, but normally and July 4th, we're eating everything out of the garden. And you can look at Will's table there and you can tell he'll probably be eating. Now our squash is gone, but I see you still got squash coming in.
Usually we have corn.
Yeah, look at there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the total eclipse, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah, this 4th of July, we're gonna be running a little short on everything as far as fresh stuff out of the garden.
We'll still have potatoes.
Yeah, we'll still have stuff like that. But,
And okra.
Okra. In fact, I got to cut okra soon. Dean Family Acres. What is Will's secret other than hard work? Will, you're just gonna have to give your secrets away, looks like.
There ain't no secret but to do it.
But, I tell people you got to enjoy it. You got to enjoy going up there and actually doing it, because if you ever had something that you really didn't enjoy, you'll catch yourself not doing it like you should. So one thing that I've noticed about people that really have nice gardens is they enjoy being out there and they enjoy doing it.
Oh, Dean Family Acres, they're from South Carolina too. They do a real good job at it.
We are growing Morgan green beans and something that's eating them up. I have never heard of Morgan green beans.
Me neither.
I have just started growing. What should we use? Oh man, at this point, I'd probably use Bug Buster too, Gerald. You could try some spinosad, but I'd probably, at this point in the game, I'd probably hit them some Bug Buster too.
That's what I used on those Japanese beetles.
Yeah.
What do you address the sweet potatoes with?
Now, normally speaking, sweet potatoes like more phosphorus and potassium. They do nitrogen. So now after this rain, I wouldn't ever put 10, 10, 10 on mine because I don't have access to any fertilizer that's heavy on the phosphorus or potassium. I did use some complete organic on there, but now that's what I'd use. I use that, and I go in there and put a light dose of nitrogen, not a lot. You want to be careful with the nitrogen on sweet potatoes because you just don't need a lot. They normally need a good phosphorus and potassium, so a good balanced fertilizer. And if you can find something that's loaded up maybe a little bit heavier on potassium, that would be a good one as well. How about you, Will? I think Will's went silent on us. Will, did you hear me there?
I got you now.
Okay. What about you?
I used to all go to triple 20 through there. That's what I use, and I just cut it in half of what I use for triple 10 or something like that. And like you said, I ran the drip for them. This is only the second time I've run drip to the sweet potatoes, but I got tired of going out there in July and watering all those things, so I just put the drip on them. And I just run, I don't know, probably for those rows, I put maybe 4 cups of triple 20 compared to what I would do for the tomato and pepper plot. Something's better than nothing. And most years it works out pretty good. Last year I had a little problem with wire worms. I got pretty spanked on sweet potatoes, but I knew that probably going in. I always had a problem with that plot, and that's where my shop sits now. So that garden plot's retired.
Yeah, some years I have more problems than I do this. Last year I didn't have any problem with wire worms, but I have had my issues with them here as well. And that's really frustrating because you don't know you got that problem until you go to harvest them.
Until about 110, 120 days later.
Yeah.
What is the minimum required property size to keep bees?
Oh man, I don't know that they are. You got to be a little careful with this. So I do have a neighbor that has bee allergies, so I am mindful of that. Other than that, I don't think it would be an issue. If you had small children around, if you lived on a real small lot and your neighbors had small children, I would ask them if any of them have bee allergies, just to be on the safe side. But I don't know.
If you had a homeowners association, you probably have to check.
Probably check with them. Will and I do not have to deal with homeowner associations, thank goodness. So that's
there's nobody around me.
Right.
You did have to you had your bees closer to the neighbors.
I did have them closer to the neighbor, and I did have to move them one time because they did tell me that one of them had to carry one of them, what you call epipens around, because I said, well, yeah.
Planted all the host varieties this year, and let me tell you, they didn't disappoint. And what's going on, Mr. Will?
Hey, Shane, hope you're doing well, bud.
Oh, Anita, how y'all doing? We have started getting what looks like blossom end rot on tomato plants. What do you suggest we stop it from spreading? Anita, it's very unusual. Most time we get blossom end rot on the first ones we pick. If we have a problem, it tends to get better as they go along. So I would, I don't know where you at in the harvesting process, but I would probably, if you're having some issues, I would get some lamp plaster or some gypsum on them quick and maybe water it in, and that'll be your best bet there.
Howdy, y'all from Texas. I grow 30-foot rows
1 foot apart.
of pickling cucumbers outside on a trellis. I've always pruned suckers, but have wondered if I should be doing this.
Oh man, we need to talk about this. So all the things on TikTok and YouTube and everything is about people pruning their squash plants and their cucumber plants. And for the life of me, I don't understand this. I guess people just want something.
I'm right there with you because I don't understand it either. I don't think I have pruned a single one of those plants in all my years of gardening, and I will probably never prune one.
I just don't understand why people want to go out there and prune these plants when they don't need it. I don't see where it's going to do any good whatsoever. It can cause problems when you prune something. You open up a wound on that plant there, so it can definitely cause problems. I don't see any benefit, and I'll even go one step further. I don't see any benefit of topping peppers out. I don't see any benefit of doing this right here. And one more thing that I don't do is I don't go out there and look at my blooms on my plants and sex them, see if they're male or female. That's something else I don't.
That you don't
and worried that I don't have enough male or female blooms. We get a lot of those questions. You know, I got 15 male blooms and 5 female blooms. And I'm like, man, you got way more time than what I got. Never worry about
the time that I've ever counted how many blooms. If I've got, let me think of a good way to say this. I've got too big of a garden and not a lot of extra time on my hands. I'm not knocking it. If you want to do it, go right ahead.
Maybe these people only have 1 or 2 plants.
I guess, but I still don't see the benefit in it. I would think you better off to spend your time otherwise than pruning squash or cucumbers.
I agree with you 100%.
Oh, Florida homestead. Now, this is a good question. I live in North Florida. What vegetables can I grow in containers right now? Because container gardening is a big thing. We know that because a lot of people don't have the room that we have. We do some container gardening down in the house down there. All right, Mama Hoss, tell us what we can container garden right now. Well, we just planted some
1, 2, 3, 4.
Little Birdie series in containers.
Peppers right now. You can still do peppers.
Yeah, you can still do peppers. Yep. Keep them warm.
I planted some of that just in like a fire pit ring. That green fingers okra.
Oh yeah,
I planted some of that in a fire pit ring. It probably hadn't been more than a week or 2 ago.
Yep, that's a good one.
I planted that last year in a root pouch and it did real well.
Yep. What about tomatoes?
Tomatillas.
Tomatillas.
Yeah.
Probably can still do tomatillas.
You need to plant more than one.
You need to plant more than one. You're just going to have to keep them watered in those containers because it's going to get very hot and dry. So keep on. There's some things you can plant out there. I can
tell you next year I will be investing in that raised bed drip irrigation because my tail's been out there watering those raised beds every day for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I love mine.
Yes.
I waited 30 years to do it.
When I saw your video, I said, yeah, that's going to happen here pretty soon.
And you know, she did it right by herself. I was so proud of her.
Well, I did help you do mine.
Yeah. All right, Johnny and Stephanie Owens says, Will, you look like you grow a lot. Do you have a produce stand or something like that? We love seeing the pictures of your garden.
I did a little market farm thing for probably the past couple of years, and I'm not doing it this year as much, or if any. I always have extra. I give a lot to family and friends and all that stuff. I take some to the church. I just decided this year I just wanted to have fun, grow stuff that I like. I couldn't grow a whole bunch of watermelons last year, canary melons, Lily Crenshaw melons. Past couple of years, I just grew what everybody wanted instead of what I like to grow. And I just decided this year I'm just going to grow what I like to grow. And if people like it, I will give them some. And if not, then that's fine too. I just like to grow it.
I understand. You know, that's one thing. We have this conversation around here. In fact, one of the breeders just sent me some muskmelon seed. They wanted me to try. I don't like those muskmelons. Why? And I catch myself not planting stuff that I don't want to grow. You know, we should be growing them because we need to test them out. But I can't get excited about growing something I don't like to eat. I don't like cantaloupes. Therefore, I never plant cantaloupes. She loves cantaloupes. I guess I should plant them for her, but I just have a hard time planting things I don't want to eat.
Well, I don't have a hard time giving it away. Family members might be lining up on Saturdays and Sundays to come and grab it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're the hero out of the bunch when you got a big garden like you. All right. Johnny says, Hoss Tools, my okra is not producing zone 8A. I've not fertilized at all. Any suggestions? Yeah, I'd hit them a little bit with some fertilizer.
Ours is not doing as well as
It's not, but I laid that to the cool nights we had early on. It's starting to produce right now. I would probably, in zone 8, I'd probably hit it with a little fertilizer. I know a lot of people don't fertilize their okra much, but I do find that there are times it responds to it.
I finally got a good picking last week, or this past week. I pickled, I don't know, probably 10 jars of okra. I think that one's actually jambalaya, but the red burgundy, I pickled some of that. That's a good pickling okra.
You know, that is my favorite pickling okra is the red burgundy. It's more consistent in that size that you want for that jar.
Yes.
And it turns green when you cook it anyway. So, Hoss Tools, when do I cut the ends off my watermelon plants? I'm not sure what you're talking about there.
vines, ends.
Yep. And you'll have to expand on that a little bit. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Cut the ends off your watermelon plant. Yeah, calcium nitrate. There you go, Dean Family Acres. Will, he's agreeing with you on the calcium nitrate. That's interesting. You know, different soils, and we talk about this a lot. You know, you guys may have to garden a little bit different than I do. And we get caught up on this thing about telling everybody how to do everything. Your soils are different from mine. So a lot of people have to take these systems and make them work for them instead of doing what everybody else does. Because you may have a higher phosphorus load in your soil, or potassium load, or calcium load, or whatever in your soil.
I found my soil, the clay-based soil, I mean, I've amended it heavily the past probably 5 years. But it's still, I don't know, probably 12 inches down. It's still clay. But I feel like it holds water and holds the nutrients a lot more than a sandy soil does.
Yeah, so the terminology they use for this is cation exchange value. So the cation exchange value of your type soils is way better than what ours are. So yeah, we'll lose out a lot quicker than what you guys. We probably have to fertilize nearly twice as much as what y'all do. On kind of the way that will bond of the nutrients with the soil. Those clay soils are really good about holding nutrients. They got their downfalls. They don't drain well. They can be a little hard to work sometimes, but they hold their nutrients extremely well.
You just got to adapt to what you got.
Yep. Donna says, I live in Pennsylvania, zone 7 in Pennsylvania. Donna, that's interesting. Can I start potatoes in grow bags for a fall harvest? I think you're too early. I'm going to let Will talk about this. He may be a little bit better versed on zone 7 than I am. I would wait till probably first September.
Probably mid-August.
Yeah, mid-August, okay.
If you're going to try it.
You can grow. You did it last year.
Yeah, mine did well in the grow bag.
The problem is you're probably going to have to get you some from the grocery store because there's no seed potatoes available that time of the year.
Or save
you some that you
Save what you grow from the summer crop or the spring crop, and if you can stick them up under the house and you get lucky enough to where you have 10 pounds survive. I've tried it a couple of times and I've been successful. I mean, not hugely successful, not like when I'm planting in February, early March, but you can still get some off, and if you plant them in August.
Yeah, zone 8 here. I thought we were probably planting in September. Yeah.
Morgans are a pole bean that grows about 12 foot tall. I was a Kentucky half runner fool until we found these. More flavor.
Gerald, that's interesting. I have to look up Morgans. I've never heard of it. Oh my goodness, here we go. Fit Girl Lover 50. Vine borers took a hold of my spaghetti squash. They're starting to get kind of rough around here too. Luckily, I was able to harvest 10. Would you recommend trying in the fall? Yeah, but you definitely want to go to a different spot and and try them. But yeah, you could, if you in zone 8A, you need to get them in pretty quick. Spaghetti squash is going to take about 90 days or better. So you probably need to get them in.
July,
Let's
September.
back it up here a minute. So let's figure 90 days. Let's talk 100 days. So that would be 3.5 months. So November, October, September, August.
July.
Yeah. You need to get them in by the 1st of August to try to make another. That's the latest you want to get them in. Charlie wants to know, is Silver King a good cream and corn like Silver Queen? Will, I'm gonna get your thoughts on this right here. Have you ever grown Silver King?
I grew Silver Queen and Silver King. I've alternated it. We have a big problem with wild hogs on my property, and I used to plant probably 4 acres behind my fence. Needless to say, I don't do that anymore because it was a big old waste of time and effort after the wild hogs get to it. Silver Queen, it's a great corn, don't get me wrong. The only problem is as soon as you get it out, you got to do it. It's not going to hold in the fridge. It's not going to do like that ambrosia or that Seminole or anything like that. As soon as you get it out, within a day or two, you've got to get that stuff put up or you're going to have problems.
Yeah, it's a very starchy corn. I love the taste of Silver Queen, but
I love it too.
It's a very starchy corn. It's just not going to hold. You know, I think I was talking with Donnie. We talked about Donnie. I think me and Donnie was talking one day, and he told me, he said, I don't know why anybody want to plant Silver Queen anymore. And believe you not, we've grown a lot of it in our lifetime. But I agree with him. I don't know why anybody would want to grow Silver Queen anymore. It's been a great variety, done well for us, but I think there are a lot better varieties out there than ever Silver King now. These ambrosias, these Seminoles, man, just so
That
much
Seminole,
better.
that's my favorite corn for the past 2 years. That's been my favorite corn. I'm hooked on that.
Yeah, we are too.
Do you fertilize onions every 2 weeks with high nitrogen triple 10?
No, we don't. We alternate it with ammonia sulfate. A little trick there about growing your onions is if you'll use ammonia sulfate as most of your nitrogen source, you're going to grow a lot better onions. So triple 10 is fine. There's nothing wrong with triple 10, but alternate it with ammonia sulfate and you're going to grow a better onion. Another secret there, stop your fertilization 30 days before harvest. That'll help
As soon as you see that bulb start pushing, stop the fertilizer.
Yep.
Minnesota, do you stake your zucchini and summer squash? If yes, no, why?
Debbie, we don't. Now, there's another seed company out there that came up with they put pictures out there of a new variety of squash that grows up that you can trellis it, or not trellis it, and maybe stake it. I'm not sure what variety that is. I've talked to some of my suppliers; they don't know what it is either. But no, we have never ever staked our zucchini or summer squash. We just don't have a need to down here.
I just don't see the benefit of it.
I don't know what you would stake.
Yeah, it's what we consider a short value crop. It makes so quick and we can get so many succession plants in there. We don't spend a lot of time or money on summer squash because they're normally so easy to grow. We just grow them and we move on. So, Early Bird Farm came to see my buddy Will. There you go. Everybody loves Will.
Hey,
Will,
Ronnie, how you doing, bud?
I just love your pictures that you post all the time on our Facebook group. All right, I have several tomato plants that have green tomatoes that are heavy, around 1 to 1.5 pounds. Wow. Do you feed your heavy bearing tomatoes extra when they are at this stage? No, I do not. So I will back off a little bit when they get to that stage right there and let them just mature on out. I do my heavy feeding early on and try to grow that vine, that plant, and then I kind of back off a little bit at harvest time. Will you do the same thing in that clay type soil?
I had a little bit of audio issue. I back off on the fertilizer. If I heard you correctly,
Yeah.
I back off. As soon as those put blooms on, I start with calcium nitrate. and then I will go to triple 20 on about a 7 to 10 day rotation. And we got all this rain, so I'm going to hit them again tomorrow with a little bit of triple 20. But I won't go with a heavier dose. I feel like if you feed them, if you front load it, like Donnie was saying, you have a good pre-plant fertilizer, and then you stay on top of it until those tomatoes, I don't know, probably say that big or so, and you keep on fertilizing them. I try to feed them continuously until they start turning.
Yeah,
with
I agree.
something.
Same thing with me. All right, Susan wants to know what would cause a red snapper to be red but kind of tough. Susan, these red snappers and these new varieties are bred to really hold it well. And I just did a video on this last week. I don't think we posted it yet. But this is one thing about these red snappers, these halcinators. You really want to leave them on the vine till they get vine ripes. You don't want to pick in these at a what we call the pink stage like we used to do some of these other varieties, these older varieties. Leave these out there till they get red on the vine, and you're gonna find that it makes a better tasting tomato, and even they will even hold up better than that. So you want them that dark red when you start to eat them. All right. Facebook, Greg, you ain't got them African killer bees. Well, I tell you what, it's crossed my mind. It is, actually, we'd had, it's been probably 8 years ago. We had a colony of African killer bees about 40 miles from us. But you don't hear anything about them anymore. All right, so Dano wants to know, Hoss tools, what's the easiest, most beneficial food crop to go with limited space? What would you say, Mama Hoss? Lettuce is B1. Lettuce, you can grow a lot in limited space. The next thing would be tomatoes. Grow your tomatoes. What else would you say?
I say radishes.
Radishes, beets. So there's a lot of things you can grow in the fall.
Spinach, stuff like that. Any leafy green.
Yeah, you can grow more lettuce in a raised bed than what you can eat.
Yeah, and with the radishes, you can eat the tops and the root.
Yep.
If you want to go vertical, do you like a pole green bean or something?
Yeah.
Yep. I was going to ask you earlier, have you ever ate sweet potato leaves?
I have not. I've seen y'all's video on it, and I'm going to try it. I've decided I'm going to try it.
Yeah, you got to try that. That's awesome right there. Patty wants to know, if I don't get my Hoss peanuts planted this year, will they be okay next year? Patty, probably not. Peanuts do not hold well at all.
One of them high oil seeds.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the farmers don't even try that. So I would probably discard them and get me some more. Plant them, not plant them, but feed them to your chickens and get you some more. And we don't even hold them over. So what we do, I think it's probably February we start getting our peanut seed in, and they're always fresh crops. So yeah, nobody holds peanut seeds over.
Yeah, our animals get leftovers.
Yep. Best cover crop for north central Alabama. Will, I think I probably agree with you on this one here. Buckwheat's a wonderful. Sorghum Sudan grass is a good one.
That's a good thick one. If you got a little more time, that sorghum Sudan's a good one.
Yep. I don't recommend sun hemp as much as I probably should because it can be hard to get rid of. But I love sun hemp, but it makes a heck of a stalk. But
yeah, you need at least a bush hog or a flail mower and probably a rotary tiller to get rid of that.
Yep. Yep. But it is a good one. It is a good one. But for the home gardener, sorghum Sudan grass as far as sorghum crops and buckwheat. Oh, have y'all ever grown sweet potatoes in bags or containers? We're doing it right now. Yeah. So we have some growing in grow bags right now.
You planted some on the Robo Row show.
They're
actually doing well.
Doing really good.
Stink bugs were terrible this spring. Summer on tomatoes, they will be just as bad for a fall crop. Sometimes they're not as bad, Keith. So, yeah, stink bugs can be bad. And I tell you where you see it on your damage. Most people don't know this, but you ever see these little yellow spots on your tomatoes right there? That's stink bug damage on your tomatoes. Sometimes we have them bad, and then they start getting better.
around, I stay better. We don't have as much damage probably in September.
Bug Buster
Cheers.
2.
Bug Buster 2 is a good one to work on, but you better hit them hard.
Right.
Oh, Eric says, my summer squash and zucchini leaves chewed up. I can't really find any bugs. What bug is doing this? I've seen Japanese beetles on my grapes. So, Eric, I think you would probably fall in the same camp as Will and I and look for those beetles. I think you probably got beetle damage there. Yeah. The tomato challenge. We didn't do the tomato challenge this year. We should have. Maybe we'll do it next year. All right, so we're going to kind of wind it down. Will, appreciate you joining us, buddy. It's always
Hey,
good.
thank y'all, Mr. Greg and Miss Sheila. I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to have to get back out there. We still got maybe another 30 minutes we can put in the garden. What you think? We need to
I'm
cut
getting
some
ready to
okra.
go to spray right now. As soon as we get off here, I
You
spray
got-
every Sunday.
Yeah,
You got tomatoes to pick.
tomatoes to pick, okra to pick. All right, good to see y'all. Will, good to see you as always. Now we're going to get out there and try to get dirty a little bit. Thank y'all for
That's
joining
what I'm
us.
going to do. Get dirty. Thank y'all very much.
Yep, see y'all.